I want to start off this week by thanking you guys for supporting the channel. The video I posted yesterday about Tua not being ready to lead a playoff team did really well, and I appreciate you guys for sharing it. Once again, we gained about 30 new subscribers over the weekend. We've got about 100 new for the month of December, so I really appreciate you guys and all the support. Now, let's get into what's real and what's fake from the past weekend. And for those of you that are new to the channel, what we do at the beginning of every week, we take headlines from the weekend and we determine what's real, or what I agree with, and what's fake. An overreaction to something, a bad take. Sometimes it can just be outright stupidity. First up this week, the Kansas City Chiefs are beatable after all. Real. I got this from Yahoo Sports. Last week in this segment, I told you guys that I was actually more impressed with the Saints in losing to the Chiefs than I was with the Chiefs winning that game. And the reason being, New Orleans was down a majority of their skilled players. Now, I know the Chiefs were banged up too. They were missing some offensive linemen, but they came into that game a lot healthier than the Saints did. And they only won by 3 points. Something seems off with Kansas City offensively. The last 2 years, it seemed like you blinked and Patrick Mahomes had you in a 14-0 hole. This offense was indefensible. You had to pick your poison with the Chiefs. You couldn't get them out of rhythm. We haven't seen that a lot from Kansas City this season, especially over the last 4 weeks. 2 of the last 3 games, the Chiefs have been shut out in the first quarter. They have been struggling on third down. They aren't extending drives like we've seen from them in the past. The timing between Patrick Mahomes and his receivers just seems off. And they're not taking care of the football either. They've turned the ball over 7 times in the last 3 weeks. They had 2 turnovers Sunday against the Falcons in the red zone. Should have been 3 had one of the Falcons defenders not dropped an interception, which could have ended the game. The Chiefs would have lost. Multiple turnovers, especially in the red zone, usually means a guaranteed loss in the NFL. Now, one positive out of this is that the Chiefs have been able to overcome these turnovers the last 3 weeks, still come out on top winning the game. But it is still a cause for concern going into the playoffs. The offense, they just don't feel as dominant as they have been the past 2 years. Heading into the playoffs last season, the Chiefs were blowing teams out. This year, their last 7 games have been decided by 6 points or less. They scraped by the Panthers, beat a bad Broncos team by 6 points. Then we see them struggle to put away a 4-win Atlanta team at home on Sunday. Now, in their defense, the Chiefs do have some players out. And you got to remember, they are the Super Bowl champions. They're the defending champions. So they have been getting the best performance out of every opponent all season. Teams, they see the Chiefs on the schedule, they get hyped up to beat them. That game Sunday for the Falcons, that was basically their Super Bowl. So I don't want you guys to think by me bringing this up that I'm counting the Chiefs out. That's not what I'm saying. It just doesn't feel like the same offense. Atlanta ranks dead last defending against the pass. And Patrick Mahomes put up 7 points in the first half. Kansas City has 2 weeks to get everybody healthy. Going into the playoffs this year, though, they damn sure don't seem like the offensive juggernaut that we have seen from them the last 2 years. All right, next up. In critical moments, Baker Mayfield will lose the game for you. Real. I got this from Cleveland.com, who actually used a Michael Vick quote for the headline of their article. My boy, Baker Mayfield. Just as he was starting to impress me, just as I was beginning to come around and think maybe, just maybe, he could be developing into a franchise quarterback. He gives us a performance like we saw on Sunday against the Jets. Now, I already know what you guys are going to say. The Browns were down their top 4 receivers, which I think is egregious if you ask me. These COVID protocols in the NFL and across all sports leagues are ridiculous. I agree. The Browns, they came into that game limping offensively. But This was Baker Mayfield's opportunity to step up. This was his opportunity to prove himself. Okay, we're banged up. My team needs me today more than any other time this season. This was Baker Mayfield's chance to put the Browns on his shoulders and carry them to a win and carry them into the playoffs. That is what a franchise quarterback does. They find ways to win games. How many times over the years have we seen Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Breeze, Brady come into a game down key players and they still find a way to win? This was Baker Mayfield's opportunity to prove that he was on his way to belonging in the conversation with those guys. And he literally dropped the ball. Now, I'm actually going to place some of the blame on Kevin Stefanski for that loss against the Jets on Sunday. All we've been hearing all season long is how the Browns are a run-first offense. This is a running team. Now, I don't think my eyes were playing tricks on me. I'm pretty sure I saw both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the field Sunday. Kevin Stefanski tried running the ball early, but the Jets were stacking the box. They knew that the Browns were down their best receivers. I get it. But I just feel like Stefanski panicked when the Browns got down 10 points, and he completely abandoned the running game. Nick Chubb had just 11 carries. The Browns as a team had 18 rushing attempts, while Baker Mayfield threw the ball 50-plus times. What I witnessed against the Jets was the same type of football from the Cleveland Browns that I've seen the majority of my life. The same mistakes that Kevin Stefanski was brought in to clean up, and he had cleaned up for the bulk of this season. But like I said, in a moment of panic, he became the latest coach to be a victim of Cleveland Browns football. So I partially blame Kevin Stefanski, but the bulk of the blame falls on the shoulders of Baker Mayfield. Even though Sunday statistically was one of his worst games of the season, I actually thought Baker Mayfield played better in the second half. He finally had the offense in a rhythm. He was given 2 chances to win this game. The first came with about 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Browns are down 20-16. They've got all 3 timeouts. Plenty of time. There was no need to rush anything. And they go 3 and out. Once again, in a clutch late game situation, Baker Mayfield tries to do too much. Scrambles out of the pocket on 3rd down, trying to extend the play, and then fumbles the damn ball. Gives the Jets the ball in the red zone. An absolutely killer turnover. The Browns defense, they actually make a stand. They hold the Jets to a field goal. Baker Mayfield gets the ball back. A little bit over 2 minutes to go. First play of the drive hits a big play downfield. He's driving down the field with ease. He gets them into the red zone. It's 4th and inches. And inches is really an over-exaggeration. I mean, literally, the Browns needed like 1 inch for a first down. It was that close. Kevin Stefanski actually rolls the dice. He puts the faith in his quarterback, calls a quarterback sneak. And what does Baker Mayfield do? The last thing that you can do in this situation. Snaps the ball, immediately takes a hit, which is what happens in a QB sneak situation, and Baker Mayfield puts the ball on the damn ground. Game over. Game over. It was an absolute choke. And one of the reasons that I have been so critical of Baker Mayfield for the past 2 years. This just can't happen. Losing a game like this to the Jets is inexcusable. You want to be a franchise quarterback in this league? These are the types of games that you have to win. The chips are down. Your team is banged up. You're expected to step up and take over. And Baker Mayfield choked. Turned the ball over twice in the fourth quarter in the span of about 4 minutes. Now, I do want to give Baker Mayfield credit for one thing. He did step up in the post-game press conference. Took all of the blame for the loss. That's also something that franchise quarterbacks do. He didn't blame the COVID protocols. He didn't blame the Browns missing key players. He didn't blame the officials. He blamed himself. But that's not enough. We've got to see the results on the field. You had the playoffs gift wrapped for you for the first time in 17 years. The Colts lost. All you had to do was beat the Jets, and you're in. And Baker Mayfield choked. All right, up next. The blame for Washington's uninspired loss goes far beyond Dwayne Haskins. Fake. I got this one from the Washington Post, and I couldn't disagree more with this article. It mentions Ron Rivera's system still being a work in progress. I mean, of course it is. It's his first year in DC, and he's had a quarterback carousel all season long. I usually don't blame a team losing solely on one player, especially in the NFL, but this incident is the exception. I'll lay that loss, a game that Washington should have won, I'll lay the blame for that loss squarely on the shoulders of Dwayne Haskins. Apparently Ron Rivera did too, because they cut Dwayne Haskins right after the game. Now just think about that for a second. Dwayne Haskins, he's been bad on the field for 2 years. We expect that. But he has worn out his welcome in that locker room in DC to the point where the team is more than willing to cut a first-round draft pick less than 2 years into his career. The NFL career of Dwayne Haskins, it should be over. I mean, this dude, in my opinion, does not deserve a second chance. You know why? Because he already got his second chance, and he screwed it up. In case you didn't know what happened last week, just let me paint this picture for you. Put yourself in Dwayne Haskins' shoes for just a second. You're a second-year quarterback. People are already talking about you being a bust. You're being given a second chance at being a starter in this league because Alex Smith is hurt. Your team is leading the division, trying to make the playoffs. Your defense is working hard week in and week out, led by a rookie in Chase Young. As the quarterback, being given the second chance, what do? Are you the first one in and out of the building every day? Are you working hard to remove that bust stain and prove that you can be a leader? Or do you go out to a strip club and get photographed not wearing a mask? Dwayne Haskins chose the last one. Now look, I don't give a damn about him not wearing a mask or going to a strip club, but it's the optics I have a problem with. It's the decision making. It's just not a good look. If this were Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, who cares? But this is Dwayne Haskins, a guy who hasn't reached a point in his NFL career where he can do things like this and get away with it. Not to mention the fact that guys like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson aren't stupid enough to do something like this to begin with. That loss Sunday is solely the fault of Dwayne Haskins. I thought Washington's defense played well for what they were being dealt by the offense. They held the Panthers to just 280 yards, forced 2 turnovers. The problem was the defense would force a turnover, and Dwayne Haskins would turn around and give Carolina the ball right back. He was absolutely god-awful the entire game. Ron Rivera finally had seen enough. Put him on the bench. Taylor Heinicke comes in, and the Redskins actually start moving the ball. And during a timeout, Dwayne Haskins runs onto the field to congratulate Taylor Heinicke. You know, to show he's a team player. But it was just too little too late. Dwayne Haskins is 3-10 as a starter. Completes just 60% of his passes. Thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. Now, none of that is enough to end the NFL career of a second-year quarterback. But what will end your NFL career early at the quarterback position is you showing poor judgment. The type of poor judgment that Dwayne Haskins showed last week. The type of poor judgment that he has shown consistently the last 2 years. NFL head coaches and general managers, they have zero patience for antics like what Dwayne Haskins has shown. As a quarterback in this league, you're held to a higher standard. You're expected to be the leader of the team. Last week was the second time that Dwayne Haskins has been fined for violating the COVID protocols. Poor decision making is a trend with this dude, and that's something that you can't have as a quarterback in the NFL. Dwayne Haskins, he blew his opportunity in this league, and he has no one to blame but himself. Once you get labeled a problem player, other teams are very leery to touch you, and it's difficult to remove that stain. Just look at what happened with Ray Rice. Look at what happened with Antonio Brown before Tom Brady came to his rescue. Both of those guys were way more talented than Dwayne Haskins. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that his NFL career is definitely over, but it wouldn't shock me if Dwayne Haskins never touched an NFL field again. All right, last up. Jared Goff is Jameis Winston of the West Coast. Sadly, this is real. I got this from the LA Times. Sunday's game in Seattle was kind of a litmus test for Jared Goff. When the Rams gave him that contract extension after their Super Bowl run a couple of years ago, I thought it was a bit premature. At the time, Jared Goff was unproven as a franchise quarterback. How could you say that? He led a team to a Super Bowl. Did he really, though? I mean, did he? The Rams that year, they rode a strong defense to the Super Bowl, along with a massive assist from NFL officials in New Orleans. The truth is, Jared Goff was terrible in the playoffs that year. And to be fair, Jared Goff hasn't had what I would call a great game in the playoffs his entire career. His highest quarterback rating in the playoffs is just 83. In 4 playoff games, he's thrown just 2 touchdowns, completes only 55% of his passes. So that huge extension that the Rams gave him was premature. Then we get to a game like Sunday, which decides the NFC West. You're going up against the Seattle pass defense that's been battling Atlanta all year as the worst pass defense in the league. And Jared Goff can't even find the damn end zone. But KC, he broke his thumb in the 3rd quarter. Sure did. Tell me what the hell happened then in the first half. The Rams defense is stifling Russell Wilson. Jared Goff, he can barely even put a drive together. The one time he does late in the first half, he throws a back-breaking interception in the red zone. The type of interception that I would expect to see from Mitchell Trubisky. I actually did see an interception like this from Mitchell Trubisky on Sunday in Jacksonville. The last 8 games, Jared Goff has 8 touchdowns and 13 turnovers. The Rams, 4-4 over that stretch. The problem with Jared Goff is he's the picture of inconsistency. He reminds me of a guy like Matt Ryan, the type of quarterback who's good enough to get you into the playoffs as long as he has a top 5 defense, a top 5 running game, and an elite head coach. What they call those type of quarterbacks in the NFL is a game manager. When is the last time a team that had a game manager at quarterback won the Super Bowl? I mean, the Eagles did it a couple of years ago with Nick Foles, but that was just catching lightning in a bottle. Jared Goff has committed more turnovers than any other quarterback in the league since 2019. Yes, even more than Jameis Winston, who, to be fair, hasn't played much this season. The Rams have a major problem if Sean McVay can't get Goff developed into an elite quarterback. They're married to him until 2024. They owe him $110 million in guaranteed money. Now, who knows how long the Rams' defense will be top 5? Defenses in the NFL are fickle. One year, they're elite. The next year, they struggle. Just look at both the Titans and the Bills' defenses this season compared to what they were last year for proof of that. We saw what happened last year when Jared Goff doesn't have a top 5 defense. The Rams go 9-7. They miss the playoffs. Goff has one of the brightest offensive minds in the league coaching him. He's been in the same system for 4 years now. And instead of showing signs of progress and getting better, Jared Goff's getting worse. He's in a division with Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Kyle Shanahan, who has shown what he can do offensively with a good quarterback. Outside of one breakout season a couple of years ago, Jared Goff has been mediocre at best, which is a major problem, like I said, if you're Sean McVay and the Rams. And also a lesson learned. You don't commit franchise quarterback money to a one-year wonder. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Tell me where I'm wrong. Should we not be concerned with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense? Am I wrong about Baker Mayfield? Was I too harsh on Dwayne Haskins? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.